Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight. To those tuning in tonight and those here in person, let me welcome everyone to our inaugural meeting. I'd like to congratulate the new councilors and welcome them to this new term of council. For those of you who have participated in council in the past, you'll notice new procedures like videotaping the meetings. So we'll all go through this learning experience together. To start tonight, we're going to do a declaration of office for each council member, and I'll go first. I, Tom Piper, having been elected or appointed to the office of mayor of the Township of Nipissing, do solemnly promise and declare that, 1, I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. 2, I have not received or will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or any improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and true, bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, and I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath. Pardon? Yeah, thanks.
I, Dave Young, having been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the Township of Nipissing, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof or for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, and I make a solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that it is in the same force and effect made under oath. Good. Oh, sorry.
I, Shelley Foote, have been elected and appointed to the office of councillor in the Township of Nipissing, do solemnly promise and declare that, 1, I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or any improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, or direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, and the solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
I, Stephen Turkey, having been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the Township of Nipissing, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, according to the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, and I make this promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true, and knowing that it is the same force and effect as if made up.
I, Tom Butler, having been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the Township of Nipissing, do solemnly promise and declare I will freely, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received nor will I receive any paper reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in bias, corrupt, or improper manner. I disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will faithfully and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. I will make a solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it true, and knowing that it's the same force and effect as it may.
Okay, good. Thank you all. And from here, disclosure of pecuniary interest. I'll just ask if there is any. Seeing none, we'll move on. There'll be no staff reports tonight. In polling the other townships locally, all they did tonight was a swearing in, and then they all drove back home. But we thought, since people have come from, downtown Hotham and places like that, we should make the most of this. So we're gonna have, this will be a kind of introductory meeting for new counselors and just to look at how things have changed. So there'll be no staff reports, and we would normally get those from operations superintendent, economic development, fire chief, administrative clerk, and sometimes from the administrative assistant, but not tonight. So then we would go on to committee reports, and Steve and I are the only ones that are still on any committees. So I unfortunately have a long-winded one, and then I'll ask Steve after that. How's that?
Sure.
Because I don't know if he knew we were going to nail him tonight. So, so as I mentioned, they'll be abbreviated, and I'm presently on the East Home Committee, and I will ask that you will support me in continuing on that committee. And later in the agenda, you'll notice committees and boards. I've mentioned committees, but we also participate in a number of shared boards with our neighboring communities, and participation on those boards is determined by unanimous decision by the participating councils. So we have to have PWAS and calendar support before anybody can be on those particular ones. So I'm presently on the East Home Committee and have been so for a number of terms with Councillor Britton from Powassan. So this is my report. It's a monthly meeting, and On the East Home Committee, there's 5 elected and 2 provincial appointees, and they cover 14 municipalities. Presently, East Home is in the middle of a 5.1 million construction upgrade project for windows, insulation, networking, roofing, air exchange, heating, and air conditioning. East Home meets on the 3rd Wednesday of the month at 10 a.m. and the building meetings are every 2nd Thursday at 9 a.m. And then special meetings are called when they're needed. So funding announcement, East Home funding is decreasing for containment, which is testing. So present funding is only in place until the end of this month. So hopefully we won't have to test after this month, but with flu coming on and the chance of more COVID, we'll see. Ongoing, we receive minor capital funding. PSWs get a permanent wage enhancement of $3. There's medication safety technology funding. Investing in Canada infrastructure program is our build money. And that's the 5 million plus. Systems and programs changes. We have a new payroll system being tested. This is the first one in over 50 years. They're still using cards. And I know Tom and I both put those in probably 40 years ago or 50 years ago. So they were still using the old card system, but now hopefully the new payroll system is being tested. They've initiated an electronic vendor payment process. They still can't get security cameras. They're just difficult to source. And computer deployment is scheduled, but it's pending software licenses. On the construction front, they've begun to change it over to a new network. Permanent or payment issued for progress draw number 5. And the building committee meets this Thursday. Staffing, increasing hours of care per the government mandate. Still difficulty covering shifts and reaching new hours of care goals set out by government. To this case, 4 foreign workers have arrived to help with staffing issues. There's 4 right now. They're from the Philippines, but they were working in Saudi Arabia. And there's more to follow in December and January. Staff Appreciation Week was October 18th, and the Long Service Awards October 26th. Operational items. They have to put in a walk-in fridge because to help with supply shortages. The last meeting we were at, they said that they would probably not get milk in the quantities that they get it, and to go outside and buy it from a local store, it increases the price. Current PPE levels are maintained at 1 month, and there's training and management for management in RNs twice in October and twice in November. They've made funding requests for home supports and nurse practitioner and community service program. Now that's run out of the old medical building. It's headed up by Leslie Price and her excellent staff. They've applied for an Age Well at Home funding. It's to provide some home maintenance, outside care, etc., for low-income seniors so they stay in their homes. When we applied for it, we put in it for grass cutting, and now it'll be snow shoveling. That's how long it's been, and we haven't heard anything since August 17th. So, and finally, contracts compliance. Insurance is up for review in November, and now insurance companies conduct property inspections. So they come to East Home and look at anything that might be wrong and will withhold insurance until that's corrected. So areas that have never had a sprinkler system ever now have to have sprinkler systems. To retrofit is really expensive, but you have to have insurance. And it's not like you shop around. There's only 2 insurance companies in the province that will do municipal homes. And so as mentioned, we're still having supply chain issues. Various menu items are difficult to get unless you're willing to pay a huge price. And as mentioned, staffing continues to be an issue. Even with bringing in outside workers, we still can't cover all the shifts any day, any night, and especially on weekends. And we have brought in outside workers with the support of the union because they just can't find people either. So that's the dire part of it, but they're making it work. Hopefully, the only problem with making it work like that, you run into a lot of overtime, which hurts Nipissing Township in the end when the levy goes up. So that's Nipissing, or my Nipissing version of East Home. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And otherwise, we were talking before about SNF, which is Sturgeon Nipissing French River Advisory Committee. Traditionally, we have one in-person meeting in March, and then weekly or daily meetings, depending on water levels in the spring. There's 55 people on the committee, stretching from Temagami to Killarney. They had a special meeting on November 4th regarding the low water levels on Lake Nipissing. I mentioned that I'm sure Councillor Yem will agree that he's never seen it as low as it is at this time of year. The drawdown rates are consistent this year with other years, but we haven't had the usual amount of rain. Warm weather has led to an extended season for cottagers, and the latest possible date for the deer season has left hunters on Nipissing scrambling. Concern that low water will eliminate some winter lake accesses was mentioned as well. At the meeting, it was determined that they will cut the outflow to the French River. The Little Shoddy air controlling dam has been closed, and without precipitation, the lake will continue to drop 0.5 or half a centimeter per day. It was going down 1.5 a day, but they still need rain. Now, this is only temporary, as the drawdown will resume in earnest later in the month, and the next scheduled meeting is proposed for mid-March. So if anybody asks you, that's the story for the lake. And how often do I say we need rain? But we need rain, you know. So as far as that goes, that would be mine. All of you will get the same opportunity when you get on committees. And normally we'd start with Dave and go around the table like this, but I did warn Steve ahead of time. So now, Steve, if you have anything from the library.
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so we decided at the library to do a separate bank account for maintenance reserve. So we're putting $1,200 a year into maintenance, $1,200 a year into maintenance reserve. But it's going to be in a separate account because before it would kind of got lost in the general ledger. So that's positive. Getting good feedback from the community because all the programs are back opened up again. And the Trillium Resilience Fund, all the items are purchased. They just need to submit the final report. And the press release will be sent out after, well, they should be out soon because they said after the municipal election. The property committee report, they needed to trim and remove some trees around the library. That's done now. I noticed I was by there on Friday. I was there on Friday. And they're getting estimates on replacing the interior light fixtures to make them a little more green, I guess. The 2023 first draft budget will be coming, well, they tried for October, but it'll be at the next meeting. And we're starting to work on the strategic plan. And that is about it. Yep. Oh, and I'm working with Marie on their emergency plan because we brought it up. She brought it up at the last meeting that we have to work on them every year. And there were some serious flaws in it that I may have pointed out. So now it's in my bailiwick to repair it. So, and that's fine. I'm good with that. So she's bringing forth at the next meeting the updated plan.
And we're gonna go through other committees as we go through tonight, but just in case I forget, because that happens frequently. Committees that are ongoing, the firefighters and recreation committee will be being Santa to the great children within the township who've signed up. And they need to register before November 18th, and delivery will be on December 10th. And if you check the website for details, it'll all be there. And so I haven't forgotten. So we can move on to number 5, appoint members of the Committee of Adjustment. Again, for those new to council for years, we applied to get our own consent granting authority. I know Tom was around for that. We were successful in our last term and can now grant minor variances, etc. Everyone on council or has been trained for this committee. Previous members have agreed to continue to lend their expertise from the public sector. They will be joined by council as a whole. And many of these decisions overlap years versus council terms. But this committee is reviewed every year, and that's as per the Planning Act. And
So these are your members for this year.
right. So the members will be myself, Tom Butler, Shelley Foote, Steve Kirky, Dave Yem, Penelope Wallace, and Paula Funtz. So that is the new council and the 2 members at large who have been trained have agreed to come back. So before I read the bylaw, so then I will read it. It has a number. I need a mover and the seconder. And you just put up your hand if you're interested. And this will be a bylaw to confirm the appointment of members to the Township of Nipissing Committee of Adjustment. So questions or comments?
No.
Okay, moved by Councillor Kirky and seconded by Councillor Butler. In the old days, we would have just, you would hand these around, but we can't do it because I've got a stinking suspicion, and that's, you'll notice we're 6 feet apart. I have a stinking suspicion we're gonna go back to being 6 feet apart and possibly masking again. So I enjoy seeing your smiling faces tonight. So I'll read the motion. It's number R 2022. So the year, and 190, that's the number of resolutions we've done this year. So moved by Councillor Kirky, seconded by Councillor Butler, that we pass bylaw number 2022-48, being a bylaw to confirm the appointment of members to the Township Nipissing Committee of Adjustment. Read a first, second, and third time and passed this 15th day of November 2022. I'll say all in favor, and I can just look and say carried. At our education session, we mentioned that I should vote as well, and I did. So it was unanimous. Now, according to it, I should also then ask who is against it. But when it's unanimous, I think I got it figured out. But my good friend Morris Turgeon always told me you got to ask who's against. So luckily, this one, we are all for it. Moving along on your agenda, appoint deputy mayor. And yeah, here's the appointment. Dave Yem will be the deputy mayor as our procedural bylaw that states the councillor with the most votes will be the deputy mayor. So it's pretty simple. If there are no comments or questions, I'll ask for a mover and seconder. Okay, Counselor Kirky's trying to get on them all. And Counselor Foot. So it's number R 2022-191, moved by Counselor Kirky, seconded by Counselor Foot, that we pass bylaw number 2022-49, being a bylaw to appoint a deputy mayor, read a first, second, and third time and passes 15th day of November 2022. All in favor? Carried.
This one we have Dana's one, but we need two more fence viewers.
Okay, so now it gets more interesting because we are filling up committees and whatever. This is the first one, so it's appoint fence viewers. Okay, so we need two counselors
We normally have two counselors. We can just take one.
to be fence, okay? Dave Yam and Tom Butler, okay? We have to read the whereases, right? Okay. Corporation to Township of Nipissing bylaw number 2022-50 being a bylaw to appoint fence viewers for the Township of Nipissing. Whereas section 22(7) of the Municipal Act SO 2001, chapter 25 authorizes councils to appoint such officers as may be necessary for the purposes of the corporation. And whereas the Line Fences Act, RSO 1990, CL 17, S2 states that the council of every local municipality shall by bylaw appoint such number of fence viewers as are required to carry out the provisions of the act. Now, therefore, the council of the Township of Nipissing enacts as follows. One, Dan McGinnis, Dave Yam, Tom Butler are hereby appointed as fence viewers for the Township of Nipissing, that each fence viewer shall be paid at the base labor rate per hour for work performed under the Line Fences Act, and this bylaw come into force and take effect on the date it receives final passing. Read a first, second, and third time and passes 15th day of November 2022. And I need a mover and a seconder. So, okay, Counselor Yem, and Counselor Foot. So I'll read the resolution and then we'll go to that. So it's number 2022-192, moved by Counselor Yem, seconded by Counselor Foot, that we pass bylaw number 2022-50, being a bylaw to appoint fence viewers for the Township of Nipissing. Read a first, second, and third time and pass this 15th day of November 2022. All in favor? Carried. Okay, the minutes of the council meeting held October 4th and the special meeting held October 25th. Mover and the seconder.
We're gonna have to do it for the resolution.
Okay. My only question there was because three of you were here for that, but minutes are there. We've read them. So I need a mover and seconder, Counselor Kirky and Counselor Butler. Thanks. So it's number R 2022-193, moved by Counselor Kirky, seconded by Counselor Butler, that the minutes of the council meeting held October 4th, 2022, the special meeting held October 25th, 2022, be adopted as published. All in favor? Carried. Okay,
Okay.
now. Number 9, it's going to take a little time. Appoint committees, positions, and board members for council terms. Before we start that, I'd like to thank all of our volunteers who sit on these boards and committees. Volunteers are the backbone of every community. From our recent training sessions, we all know how important our volunteers are. In order for committees like the Recreation Committee to continue to supply quality programs, we have traditionally asked former members from previous councils if they would bring their expertise to the new term of office. If there are openings, we will advertise them while we continue to have a committee to go forward immediately. Presently, our bylaw says these committees are a 1-year commitment, but with your support, they will be extended the term of the council in a future bylaw. The thinking on this, I'd rather redo a bylaw than have everybody step down and then have to reapply. And they would have to do that yearly. Our volunteers are hard to get and ours are valuable. I don't want to cause them any unnecessary stress. We'll still advertise for volunteers in the future for every committee because we will need the help. And it's just that they won't necessarily be an executive member, but they can still help in a million other manners. Then when it comes to board members, we'll be in negotiations with our neighboring communities to determine representation. So having finished that spiel, sure. Now we don't have,
So we need 2 council members for cemetery board.
so cemetery board and KVM has mentioned that, and so did Tom Butler. And then members of large, Terry Wright and Brett McDonald. Staff appointments will be Dan and Chris. Next one is the library board. And I believe it's 1 and 1.
Yep.
So Councillor Kirky, we were.
I've already committed to,
Okay.
if, should I get, that's what I had said to Marie, I will commit if I get back in. So,
Right, and our member at large is Doug Wally.
He's let us know that he would like to remain.
Okay. Livestock valuers. Okay, we've got 3 people interested. Anybody in particular? Remember, you need to save yourself for later. Councillor Kirk.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead, gentlemen.
So we only need 1 member of council. So Dave,
It's up to you. It's up to you, whatever, yeah.
okay, Dave,
We have other things too.
okay, museum board. Right now, we have our 5 members. Those were Mary Eastman, Brenda Lennon, Gladys Bateman, and Chris Johnston. Council member, you were willing to stay, Councillor Kirky. Would anybody else like to join Councillor Kirky as the 2nd member of that? Okay. Thank you. Councillor Yemen. Okay, so Recreation Committee is next. And we need, I think Shelley Foote has already been approached because she was on that committee as a member at large. We may have a meeting, an opening for another member at large. But otherwise, James Scott, Ron Phillips, Kathy Shaw, Terry Wright, Andrew Barry, Steve DeShane, Steph DeShane. Yep, and Chris Johnston. So Shelley will be 1 council member. We need 1 more. And I could do this one because just sitting back doing nothing. So that's rec committee. We haven't had an eco committee for a number of years, and I think what we contemplated is just holding off on that until when we had it is when we had the trail and the Trans-Canada Trail and Pat Hoffway. So I think if we can hold off on that until there's a need. But there is a need for one more counselor for the Pines.
Yeah, that's coming up. in another
Okay, that's another resolution, okay. And the only other one on this one is town drainage inspector, and Dan can do that. So, that was really good. So I need a mover and a seconder. Okay, Counselor Yam and Counselor Kerr. So it's number R 2022-194, moved by Counselor Yam, seconded by Counselor Turkey, that we appoint the following members to committees, positions, and boards for the period of November 15th, 2022 to November 14th, 2026. And I'll just say the cemetery board, the library board, livestock valuers, museum board, recreation committee, and tile drain inspector. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried.
All of these names are also posted on our website, so if you have any questions about who's on which committee, they're all posted. They will be updated tomorrow. So there's the Pines.
Okay. So the next one is the Pines. If in your correspondence, it's the Golden Sunshine. Does it? Golden Sunshine Municipal Nonprofit Housing Corporation Board. Yeah, so it's the Pines, it's right beside East Home. Doug Wally has been our representative, and he is asked to remain on it. And so, because this is a board, we need a mover and a seconder, and we can go from there. So Councilor Yam, Councilor Butler. It's number 2022-195, moved by Councilor Yam, seconded by Councilor Butler. The Doug Wally be appointed as a Township of Nipissing representative to the Golden Sunshine Municipal Nonprofit Housing Corporation Board for the council term of 2022 to 2026. All in favor? Carried. Now, they meet once a month. Again, in the correspondence, it says who was on it before, but we have no way of knowing who's going to be on it in the future. So they're also looking for one counselor. This is a daytime meeting. Not okay. Day meeting once a month, unless you want to be the chair, then you have to do it weekly. And but there's nothing that says you have to be the chair, or even that you have to be on this committee. So, is anybody interested in the Pines?
I work at the days.
Okay, in that case. So, a gruesome twosome, Dave, Britton, and me will be together again. And that was just big. Okay, thanks, Will. Okay, so. Need a mover to seconder. Yeah. Counselor. Butler and Counselor Kirky. It's number 2022-196, moved by Counselor Butler, seconded by Counselor Kirky, that Tom Piper be appointed as Township of Nipissing representative to the Golden Sunshine Municipal Nonprofit Housing Corporation Board for the council term of 2022 to 2026. All in favor? Yes. Despite these other things, I have been on East Home for a long time, 12 years. Tom and I both,
Custodians.
pardon?
Custodians, mopping the floor.
Yeah, we mopped floors there years ago. So I figure as a floor mopper, I have a great deal of knowledge that I can pass on to East Home. And I would ask that the township support me in returning to the East Home Board. I've been on the board for 12 years. And we're in the middle of a ISTIP program grant and kind of like to see it finished. So I'll make a motion. I first of all need a mover and seconder, and I can't do it. So Counselor Yam and Counselor Kirky. So number R 2022-197. And before I read this, by the way, we always ask for a mover and seconder. That doesn't mean you have to vote in favor of it. You're just getting it on the docket. You may choose to go, because what I would normally do in something that isn't quite as simple as this, and I won't mean myself, but if it's, something, I will ask if there's any comments or questions, and then we can discuss it. You may choose not to vote for it. And at the same time, the other option is you may ask for a recorded vote. And all you have to do is ask before the vote, in which case, beside your name, you will have a for or against. So later on, you can say, I voted against that crap, but they passed it anyway. So anyway, just all part of our education that probably you'll get from somebody else that'll do a better job in the future. But anyway, it's number R 2022-197, moved by Councilor Yam, seconded by Councilor Kirky, that the council nominates Mayor Tom Piper to represent Area 1 on the East Home for the Aged Board of Management. All in favor? Oh, good, you still vote. Now, all we do is submit this, but now Boston has to agree and Calendar has to agree. And there are a number of other ones that
So that's just a circuit.
right.
Big Ottawa Source Protection Authority. This is even.
Okay.
Yes.
North Bay,
From Jane Avenue.
I don't know how many times a year.
I don't believe it's very many. Historically, no.
Historically not, I would think maybe 3 times a year. But I don't know if they're day or night meetings,
I think they're even.
evening meetings, okay. And this is under the umbrella of North Bay Ottawa Conservation Authority. And I'm up to mine, so anybody else want to do this? Okay. 3 times. Okay, Steve Kirky. So a mover and a seconder. Okay, Councilor Foot. Councilor. It's number R 2022-198, moved by Councilor Foot, seconded by Councilor Yam, that Steve Kirky be appointed as a Township of Nipissing representative to the North Bay Ottawa Source Protection Authority for the council term of 2022 to 2026. All in favor? There. Okay. Okay. Yeah, golden one for you then. If you want, the next one is be appointed the Township of Nipissing representative to the East Nipissing North Perry Sound Veterinary Unit. I was on it once. We met once in 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's once every, about 3 years now. The problem was I could have been the head, but I didn't have any livestock. They said, you don't even have a chicken? And I went, no, I don't even have a chicken. How about a cat? They went, no, cats don't count. So I was out, and that was the end of my reign and glory for the veterinary unit. But we need a representative on the board, but like I say, it might meet once every 3 years. Do you have a chicken?
Several.
You are
And some ducks.
overly qualified.
Two goats.
And goats? Well,
Oh,
you'll be chairman of the board. I'll mention that when you send it in. So
That's it.
mover and a second. Counselor Yam and Counselor Kirky. The last time I was at a meeting, they had it at the Lions Den, Pulaski, so. But like I say, they're few and far between. So it's number R 2022-199, moved by Counselor Yam, seconded by Counselor Kirky, that Tom Butler be appointed as a Township of Nipissing representative to the East Nipissing North Perry Sound Veterinary Unit for the council term of 2022 to 2026. All in favor?
Council meetings.
Okay, I think if you looked, council meeting dates are in the package.
Yes. Circulated that calendar.
It's like that boy here. And I have it right on the second page in my package, I think. I might have been messing with it. Okay. Council dates, now we tried to follow last year's schedule, but we're looking at avoiding March break this year because last year we had it in March break and that didn't go over really well. Traditionally, we have one meeting per month in the summer because the federal and provincial government are often in recess. And because this is when we have public meetings, more so to reach out to seasonal residents who feel that we've forgotten about them. November has also had a singular meeting because often members of council, many local residents are involved in other pursuits. Now, if council wants a second meeting in November, that's their prerogative, or we can stay with what we have suggested here. So they are the highlighted,
The green dates.
right?
The yellow dates show the yellow circles next to the dates that they were for this year.
And so green dates,
To show you that we are in line with.
Tuesday nights.
Mhm.
Now, again, we all sometime are gonna get sick, or we're gonna have medical appointments or something like that, and that's just a fact of life. And when you can't make it to a council, you always say with regrets, whether it is or not, but you miss it with regrets, and that's gonna happen. When it happens with me, Deputy Mayor Yam will be sitting in this seat. But I haven't missed too many, but who knows? So anyway, that's that. Are there any comments, questions? It's so far ahead that, I don't know what I'm doing next week, but anyway, we can pass it, and then if we can't make it, then you can't make it. Things happen. Life gets in the way. So those are the suggested meetings. Any comments or questions? Anybody want more meetings? Okay, none of you are that new. Great, thanks. So I need a mover and a seconder to adopt this. Counselor Yam, Counselor Buck. So it's number 2022-200. Moved by Counselor Yam, seconded by Counselor Butler, that the 2023 council meeting schedule will be as followed, and I have all the dates in this paper that are on that one, so I won't read every one. All in favor? There. See, it's written like this on here, but then we'll get a copy like this, or those seeing impaired like myself who can then look at it without their glasses on.
This also gets posted to the township website as of tomorrow. All these dates will be updated.
You're good.
Okay, thanks.
Unanimous. Next. Okay, to get everything up and running for the new year, Christmas vacation, that kind of thing. I think this was in the package,
No, it's
No, it
on your
wasn't.
tables tonight.
right? And
Taking into account this holidays, the hospital weekends, and the half days that staff is given. 4 days, I believe, leaving on Wednesday. And staff in the office would like to take that as a vacation day, each of us, so we would close the entire week.
And I didn't realize till yesterday that Christmas is on a Sunday. Right? Yeah. So that's why I kind of,
We still monitor our emails and we still look after business.
I was at a dental office and a guy asked, he said, when's Christmas this year? He meant what day of the week? The lady said it's the 25th. It's always that day. So it's still the 25th, but this year the 25th is a Sunday. So if we go with this holiday schedule, are there any comments or questions? If not, mover in the second. Counselor Kirk, Counselor Butler. It's number R 2022-201, moved by Counselor Kirk, seconded by Counselor Butler, that the 2022 holiday hours for municipal operations are as indicated below. And ask for all in favor. Carried. Next, we have correspondence. Good old days, we just went over it and said, yeah, that doesn't matter, this doesn't matter. Fortunately now, they slip things in that matter. If somebody is making a resolution and they forward it to AMO, which is Association of Municipalities of Ontario, on our behalf, we let AMO read it, AMO decipher it, and AMO come back to us and say, you know, this is what the government's saying here. This is their suggestion. This is our follow-up. And they will have a resolution asking for our support. So we do that. But believe it or not, we still have 10 pieces of correspondence. So traditionally, you'll get your package a week before.
Yes, we shoot for the Tuesday.
So you get it Tuesday before, because even this time, there's a lot of reading. So we receive the correspondence so we can discuss and determine if it should be on a future agenda. I'll be calling on councilors for their comments on certain correspondence. Some things like today, we'll go through them 1 to 10. 1, library board minutes, information item, any questions? You direct them to Councillor Kirky. He's already done it, and there were no questions. So Golden Sunshine Nonprofit Housing, there were 2 sets of minutes there. Again, I evidently after this, if there's a question, you'll ask me. East Ferris, they're talking about a child care worker shortage. They want an accelerated program. They want financial support for people taking the courses. They want an increase in pay and benefits. And I think they've asked us,
They've asked for AMO to look into it as well and support it, but they also asked specifically that it be circulated to all of the municipalities in our DSAP. So that's why it's also in our correspondence.
so if you look over that again and think we want to jump into this political snake pit and demand, and there's no doubt there is a childcare shortage, childcare worker shortage. But again, I don't think we're going to do much about it in here. But we can support this in a future resolution if you want. Or if not, we send it to AMO and the resolution comes from there. So this is comments or questions? Yes.
So Imo's gonna run with this anyway? Prob-
Not necessarily.
No, they're gonna-
It gets given to AMO for their review and for them to research.
Okay, just from us or from East Ferris and
East Ferris
the
sent
rest
it
of the
to AMO.
communities? in our DSAP?
East Ferris sent it to AMO and to everyone.
Okay,
So we can wait till we see what AMO wants to do with it, or we can go on our own and make a resolution tonight, or not tonight. We can't do it tonight. That would be on the next agenda saying we support East Ferris. So I'm seeing some heads going this way. Will we wait for AMO? Okay. Okay, next one, Ontario Wildlife Damage Compensation Program. It's more an information item. They've gone from 5 claims before you have to do a reasonable care plan. Now it'll be 10. And they pointed out the government is giving us $50 instead of $30 for administration allowance, okay? Okay, number 5. Are we willing to declare March as amyloidosis awareness month? I didn't know how to say it. I think I said it right. We may want to investigate this before we do. And it says in there, you know, what kind of disease it is. But again, awful lot of diseases out there. A lot more than 12 months a year. So if we do resolutions for these, we're going to tie ourselves up. But we could look into it and see, and we'll just bring it back and say this is information from previous correspondence. But again, if anybody feels strongly, but I don't have the information at this time. Number 6, Strong Mayors Building Homes Act. And Steve will remember this because if you've read this, Toronto and Ottawa, the mayor now can hire or fire the CAO, board members. They can veto the budget. They can do everything.
department heads.
Department heads can be fired, terminated, and can hire on their own. Okay, now, just to tell you what support this council and what faith they have in me, in case this comes to our level. Our council has already supported a resolution against this. So we've already supported it, saying we do not support the Strong Mayors Act, too much power in two tiny little hands. So we're gonna wait further info from AMO again. So it's an information item. And they're also doing a cannabis review too. So that should be interesting. The next one, 7, More Homes Built Faster Act, okay? And that's the new Young Ford initiative to build more homes faster. There's some questions about how municipal governments recover costs and undue delay. If something doesn't go through quickly enough, then it can just be basically quashed and then move ahead. So that's where people in the green belt are saying you need to study and whatever. They say it's moving away from environmental protection, less parkland, less green space, more housing, and AMO again. So they will have information for the future. And the government's doing things really quickly, too quickly for us to even respond. Number 8, the annual Federation of Ontario Municipalities meeting. Put this on your calendar, May 8th, 2023 in Perry Sound. Be able to go to that in Perry Sound and then get a free ticket for the Bob Orr Museum if things work out. That'll be the high point of that. This is just a heads up and information. Number 9, ROMA, Rural Ontario Municipal Association. Its meeting is January 2023. We aren't in ROMA. We're in AMO, which is Association of Municipalities of Ontario. The only question I have is ROMA more applicable to us? We may be more rural than AMO, which also includes Toronto, Ottawa, no, not Toronto,
Toronto's not a member of the.
Ottawa, Kitchener, Waterloo, Windsor, these places. So it's just something that we may look at. Because to the best of my knowledge, we probably have more, in relation, whatever, to rural Ontario. And their meeting is in January.
And they just released their list of topics to be covered, so I will circulate that in the next package.
If anybody's interested in that. And again, it's information, and I'm just asking, is Roma more applicable? Number 10, the Town of Perry Sound EMS Advisory Committee, their reports, budget, discussions with our rep, which is Irene Schmidt-Smith from Calendar, and our administrators, and we're asking for answers on land ambulance grants, and they're saying it's same as always. But the issue there is they've already got their budget and they want a 5% increase. So if everybody wants a 5% increase, pardon?
It's been approved by them.
By
So that's our
EMS.
levy.
Yeah, so because there's a levy, we're gonna have to pay that. And we're just thinking that in the future, we may want more input or have more questions answered. And that's the negotiations that I have to do with Calendar and Powassan, because right now the rep is from Calendar. So I will continue on that. And finally, 11. Believe it or not, good news. UMP grant. UMP stands for Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund. And we have an increase of $32,000 this year. So that's the positive. Others were getting 90% of previous. Some are getting 80% of previous. So
We're doing well.
we're doing well. So
We continually have an increase each year.
so far, so good. And at the same time, our policing costs went down a little. $311,000 this year. So they are down,
It's going down.
yeah, I think $12,000.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's positive.
It was 328, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it's gone down.
It's going in the right direction.
Yeah, that's a lot of correspondence because it's been a month.
That's right. We
So-
try to keep it smaller.
So, and again, information items, and we will look into declaring March that month. So now I need a mover and a seconder to accept the correspondence. Councilor Butler. Councilor Kirk. Do I always have a pounding headache when I go home on Tuesday nights? Okay, we'll look into that. November, number 2022-202, moved by Councilor Butler, seconded by Councilor Kirky, that we accept the correspondence as presented. All in favor? Carried. Okay.
And
Statement.
everyone has an updated statement on the table. We had to run some more checks today.
So, remember, councilors, when you what your fees, get your expenses in, then get your money back. So as soon as you get it in, councilors all get $100 back.
Those that have filed their financial report.
I haven't, I'm saving mine, it's my Christmas shop. So the accounts payable are on this huge, long spreadsheet.
It won't always be this long.
No,
It's just been since October. That's why it's-
and they get this,
with their package, and then I'll usually do an update if there's more checks.
On a Friday? and if you have any questions about anything, and some amounts are in yellow to explain, and then otherwise the explanation, normally it would have just been repairs to PW fleet, but now we break it down to what the repairs are, return of e-fob deposit on file, etc. So it just gives you more information.
We've always got the entire payables filed here, so if there's any questions, we can look at the actual invoices with you.
Otherwise, that's total payables for October 13, 14, 18, 21, 26, November 3rd. And 2015. You get a chance to go through it. If you have any comments, questions, feel free to ask. That's me. And then people with strong shoulders can move this because it's a heavy one. Any comments, questions? So, yes,
I was wondering if Chris could explain to everybody how that HST rebate works.
But we get
Explain.
the majority of our HST is refunded to us. We get it twice a year. So at the end of June and at the end of December. So I just highlighted it in yellow to show it will be coming back to us. So it is paid out, but it does come back to us, but not to the end of the year.
thank you. We got that. Okay. Mover and a seconder, Counselor Yam and Counselor Turkey. This is number 2022-203, moved by Counselor Yam, seconded by Counselor Turkey, a statement of accounts dated October 13, 14, 18, 21, and 26, November 3, 10, 15, 2022, totaling $688,008.42 be approved. All in favor? And the last two, yes, and I'll do it before we do the last two. We need other training dates. You've had the municipal.
And really gavel.
Right. Okay. And I know it was a delightful day because I was there the day before. And you met all kinds of fun people. And there, Tom met my cousin, Big Kev. So, it was interesting day the day before as well. But now we need more training that is actually specific to us and us alone. Because we are, unlike those other ones, we are a gem here in the middle of everything. So other training dates. When we get into December, we're gonna have 2 meetings a month from then on. And I would think we're gonna wait a little while till we have any public meetings.
I would say probably spring so that we can include the entire population.
But we are definitely got things that I know came up during the campaign that we're gonna have to look at. There'll be public meetings, so it will get even busier. But the question is when can we get training? And the one suggestion was later this month, in November. I think there's always bow season if you're that kind of hunter, but I'm not. I'd put it away, but that's one of the reasons, the pursuits we have at this time of year. But is there any dates? We have nothing on the Tuesdays. And I just say that because they're council meeting nights.
Yeah, the 22nd and the 29th. If we had, say, 3 hours in an evening, we'd like to bring in the integrity commissioner to do the training. And then train on the different departments and on our procedures. So it's going to be.
So 3 hours.
And is that in a single session or is that in 3 separate sessions?
No, just 1 3-hour session for the integrity commissioner and for some information. And then it would be best if we could have 2 separate sessions because we have an awful lot of information to cover. But I need to be able to schedule our integrity commissioner for sure.
So we need more than 3 hours?
If possible, but 2 separate sessions, I wouldn't want anybody sitting.
So I know all of you are busy. So is there anything, and why we mentioned Tuesdays, because they would traditionally be a council meeting night, but we only have one in November. Is there any chance, even if we looked at one of those 2 and tried to start with that?
Sure, it's whatever council can,
This is up to us, so,
we'll make it work.
Wednesdays?
I mean, it could be,
I'm away on the 23rd of November, the 23rd, 24th, and 25th, there's finance training in Sudbury. And Wednesday nights are our fire department training here in the hall, so maybe Wednesdays wouldn't be.
I'm away that week too. That whole week I'm gone.
So early December.
So I'm
then?
sorry, I'm
How about
gone
the- what about the
I'm gone the
29th?
28th to the 2nd. Sorry, that's the week I'm gone.
So the 22nd? That's a week. That's a week from now.
That's Tuesday.
Yeah,
That's not, oh, that's not a,
No council
No, we
meeting
have
no
is
council
set
meetings
for
in
November.
yeah.
Let's do it.
do it.
I can try and get our integrity commissioner that evening, so that'd be perfect, and if not, we'll We'll be sure to fill it with information for you.
So,
Time?
yeah, here's where I screw around with things.
It's
I mean,
what
we could
works
go
best.
for like an hour and a half and then have somebody bring us pizza. And then we could go another hour and a half and break it up.
Yeah.
3 hours is just,
Well, it's a lot of information. all
It's
at once.
brutal, yeah.
So I don't want to overwhelm everybody. So if you'd like to come early, we can arrange to have dinner brought in and break it up.
what time do you work to?
Usually 3.
So you want to
So
go to 4 to 6 and then eat and then. Can people make it for 4?
Are you not in Sudbury on the 23rd, 24th, 25th?
Never talking about the 22nd.
Will you not have to go to Sudbury to be there?
No, my session starts in the morning on the Wednesday
Oh,
at 11, sorry.
Oh,
So
nice.
I'm fine that day.
So 4 o'clock, you said,
Are you good for it?
as long as everybody else is.
Yeah.
Perfect. 4 PM training here, and we will look after all of the others. So just bring yourselves and we'll make sure everything else is looked after. Thank you.
Okay. Because I know when we had other training, 3 hours at a, that was, seemed long. How's that for putting it nicer? So we could break it up, hopefully. Did you guys get 1 minute stand-ups?
Just when Fred was up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not with mine.
no, Nigel.
Yeah, each power.
There was an awful lot of information that day.
Yeah.
So what we would like to do, all of the staff members would like to present a little bit on what we do to give a little bit more of a rounded idea
Yeah.
and explain the different things. And then also have our integrity commissioner speak. He's very interesting. He's very good. And that will give you some background to what you learned in the Amber Gap session.
It tells us Zoom.
Yes, he will Zoom.
That doesn't, I've learned that doesn't mean go fast. Means you be on the TV. Okay, so having done and said that, let's call a halt. At the end of the meetings, to make it legal, we have to have a confirming bylaw. So that basically confirms the proceedings. So that's the second last. So when I get to that. It's,
Can I just explain?
yes,
So the confirming bylaw, when a council passes a bylaw, it's forever. A resolution is just binding on the term of council. So by doing a confirming bylaw, it confirms all the resolutions as well. So in the legal proceeding, everything that happens in the meeting is now proclaimed by bylaw. So it's just a legal step.
excuse me. Okay, thank you. So I need a mover and seconder. Okay, council. Council. So it's number R 2022-204, moved by Councillor Butler, second by Councillor Foot, that we pass bylaw number 2022-51, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on November 15, 2022. Read the first, second, and third time and pass this 15th day of November 2022. All in favor? Carried. Last but not least, the adjournment. This was one of those, we used to pass these around, everybody would fight to get this. Because that's the end of the meeting, a mover and a seconder. Councilor Yam, Councilor Perky. Number R 2022-205, moved by Councilor Yam, second by Councilor Perky, that the meeting be adjourned at 7:50 PM. On the clock on the wall, next regular meeting to be held December 6th, 2022. Meeting next
That's a
week
training session.
is a training session, not a regular meeting. All in favor? Carried.
So no decisions of council will be made at the next